Amazingly, in his directorial debut, Panos Cosmatos has given us a film that looks fantastic, sounds incredible, and is rich with psychological subtext. In my estimation, Beyond the Black Rainbow borrows heavily from the postmodern philosophy of Deleuze and Guattari to repudiate Freudian ideas of psychoanalysis, while incorporating Jungian symbolism to offer the individual a line of flight from this institutional control. Set in 1983, the film hints that Huxley's Brave New World will arrive before Orwell's 1984, an assembly line society where social ills are quelled by pharmaceuticals dispensed by an all-knowing elite. The priest class of this secluded technopoly consists of Mercurio, Arborea, and Barry Nile. Arborea is a reference to the linear, arboreal nature of knowledge and science. This tree metaphor contrasts with the horizontal, non-hierarchical model of development put forward by Deleuze and Guattari. Nile's death makes most sense when viewed as the tree of knowledge being felled by rhizomatic growth. Despite a wealth of pharmaceuticals at his disposal, Nile seems only able to control his prized patient, Elena, with the power of a pyramid. This triangle metaphor hints at the three-tiered Freudian idea of self. It is this three-dimensional, antiquated model of self that must be discarded. In the film's third act, Elena is able to escape Arborea by following a path marked by a series of squares. The majority of these squares appear to have rounded edges. One thinks of Jung's squared circle, his symbol of the self. In this context, a Jungian definition of self could serve as a possible remedy in such a control state. Barry Nile, who is age-appropriate for a process of individuation, succumbs to his shadow side and is intent on murdering all of his anima, along with the wise old man. Before she can escape Arborea, Elena encounters three obstacles. The first entity seems to be a literal body without organs, perhaps a personification of Barry's id. The second creature, in contrast, seems ethereal, as it peers down on Elena. This could be a glimpse of Barry's stunted superego. And the final confrontation with Barry's new ego, a man completely absorbed into the machine. Barry Nile, as a marvelous blogger put it, and I quote, is totally terrifying and pathetically pitiable, like all great movie monsters, end quote. The sympathetic aspect of Nile's character stems from the sense of a man being led astray. Barry's bad trip could be seen as an indictment on the use of psychedelics in therapy. But I feel the film is more interested in illustrating the dangers of any type of categorization of this new kind of information, or, in other words, this coding of flows. Before Barry embarks on his trip, we see the use of a white wall and black hole, or the abstract machine Deleuze and Guattari talk about, to create meaning. What D&G were arguing against was not this new flow of information that may come from the use of psychedelics, but the coding of such flows into any hierarchical structure. But this is exactly what Arborea does, just before Barry enters. Thus, Arborea's face, that abstract machine, delivers a command ensuring the Oedipal triangle will become a self-fulfilling diagnosis. Ultimately, Elena simply strolls right out of Orboria. The therapeutic control state requires the cooperation of its inmates. To quote Lewis Mumford in The Myth of the Machine, The Pentagon of Power, "But for those of us who have thrown off the myth of the machine, the next move is ours. For the gates of the technocratic prison will open automatically, despite their rusty ancient hinges, as soon as we choose to walk out." The film's final shot suggests Elena has escaped one control state only to enter another, this subdivided neighborhood with living rooms illuminated by television screens. The strongest prisons have the weakest walls.